99.3 The Vine.
Let's celebrate wine country living.
It is time for Wellness Wednesday, which is one of my favorite times of the month because that means I get to hang out with my friend Jane Ehrman of imagesofwellness.com. Hey, Jane, how are you doing today?
I'm well. How about you, Robin?
Oh, good. It's good that you're well on Wellness Wednesday.
Yeah.
Well, it's a beautiful day outside. The weather's fantastic. It's that time of year when so many of us are planting and growing all kinds of things in our yards. I mean, I actually don't mind doing yard work when the weather's this great. Flowers, fruits, veggies, all the things. It seems like more people than ever are gardening. And my guess is that there's some health benefits to gardening because I know I always feel better after spending some time out in the yard. Can you tell us some of them?
Sure. You know, what happened, Robin, is the pandemic changed a lot of things for all of us. Initially, we were stuck in our homes and isolated, and then the panic, yeah, it felt like that.
It did.
The pandemic wore on, and people were outside and yet still at home, and many of them turned to gardening for an activity. And a recent statistic that I read showed that 18.6 million people tried gardening for the first time then.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, there are quite a few benefits to gardening. Physical, mind, body, spirit, emotional, social. Let's just start with the physical benefits. Gardening gets you moving. You're bending, stretching, digging, hoeing, shoveling, watering, lifting. It's good for your cardiovascular system and helps you build endurance and strength. And it doesn't matter whether you have a patch of land to grow your garden or you're doing container gardening. And research shows that just 30 minutes of gardening was beneficial. And if you can't do 30 minutes for whatever reason, 2 15-minute segments work.
Awesome.
So you're out in the sunshine, so you're getting some vitamin D naturally, breathing fresh air. Gardening and all that exercise can help you release some extra body weight if that's something that you're working on.
Well, I'm there for that.
Me too. All that exercise and being in the sunshine can help you sleep better. And lifting and carrying heavy pots and plants or digging and shoveling can help improve your bone strength too.
Oh, great.
Yeah, because it's weight bearing. So gardening in raised beds can ease joint issues as you get older, if you have those issues, and it can extend your ability to garden longer as you get older. And there are gardening benefits to your brain.
I love it when things help my brain. So say more about how gardening can benefit your brain, because that got me right there. The other stuff, no brainers. I always feel better physically after working in the yard. Yeah, exactly. But I never really thought of it benefiting my brain. I love that.
I hadn't either, but there's good research that's shown that gardening can improve memory and help reduce the effects of dementia and post-traumatic stress. Here are some of the details. There was a long-term study done of about 3,000 older adults. For 16 years, they tracked them with the frequency of the kinds of dementia and variety of lifestyle factors that occurred for them. Researchers found daily gardening was the single biggest risk reduction for dementia and reducing the incidence by 36%.
Really?
That's huge in research.
It is.
Another study estimated the risk reduction at 47%. Why does gardening make such a big difference? There's a lot we're still learning about Alzheimer's. However, gardening involves a lot of important functions, including strength, endurance, dexterity, learning, problem solving, and sensory awareness. All of them benefit the brain.
That is fantastic news. Now, you mentioned body, mind, and spiritual benefits, and I know we've talked about things like that in the past, but how are those related to gardening? Can you tell me a little more about that?
Sure. Generally, when we're out in nature, we're calmer, and there's a lot of research that bears that out. And gardening can help you relieve stress and anxiety and depression, in part because you're doing physical activity. Our mind is focused on gardening, not the bills, not political issues or family tensions or work-related problems. We're being creative. We're playing in the dirt. Think about that. Growing things and connecting with nature. And when we plant things and they grow and flourish, we get excited. I'm growing tomatoes. I think you are too. When those when those first little tomatoes come out, don't you just get excited?
I do. And when I haven't killed a plant 2 weeks in, I feel very good about things.
Well, it's very satisfying. And we're more positive and it improves our self-esteem. Putting some flowers that you grow in a vase on a table. There's research that shows having fresh flowers in your house improves your mood. When we share them with other people, that also lightens people's moods and spirit.
That's great. I'm talking with Jane Ehrman of imagesofwellness.com. We're talking about the great benefits of gardening, specifically right now, the body, mind, and spiritual benefits. What else?
So gardening can be a good activity for families to do together too. Maybe the kids have their own section where they're growing their favorite veggies. They'll probably be more likely to eat something that they grew. And growing your own food can be truly satisfying beyond just the financial benefits.
Right.
I remember my grandsons going out to the garden to pick their veggies that they wanted to eat for dinner that night. And there's nothing quite like eating the food fresh from your garden.
Right. And kids love to help with things
They
too.
do.
It can take some patience if you have a specific way that you want your garden done. But if you can find that patience, even if it's digging deep, they love to help.
They do. And they feel so good when something they put in the ground comes up.
So you're benefiting yourself, your garden, and your kids.
Exactly. It helps with their self-confidence and self-esteem. So the other piece of this is gardening can really help your sense of purpose. The weeds need to be pulled. Plants need to be pruned. They need to be watered and fertilized and have other nutrients added. Now, the garden needs your help and support in order to thrive.
So you're needed. Does gardening have a positive social impact on us? Usually other than with the family, it seems like we're doing it kind of independently.
It sure does have a social impact. Gardening is usually a positive topic for conversation, a refreshing change from discussing stress-filled topics. And you may have a basket of tomatoes, zucchini, cucumber, lettuce, that more than you could eat yourself. So share them. Share that abundance with family, friends, coworkers, neighbors. Everybody feels good when that happens. And often people share starter plants or often good tips and ideas because you meet people who've been long-time gardeners. They have a lot of wisdom to share. So consider joining a community garden near you where there's space for you to grow and share all kinds of produce or flowers. We know that emotionally, it's difficult not to be excited when something that you planted starts to sprout. Whether it's veggies or fruit ripening, and seeing that you grew it yourself. And we know that there are benefits when we share what we're growing with family, friends, and neighbors.
Absolutely. Well, Jane, you've given us a lot to think about with gardening today. What are a couple key points? I always love our key takeaway points.
Remember that gardening is good for us, body, mind, and soul. It doesn't matter if you have a big garden or a smaller container garden. It doesn't matter if you're growing food or flowers or shrubs. Do what you enjoy. Get your children involved. It's a good summer and fall activity to do together. And if you're new at gardening, talk with a friend or neighbor who gardens for some tips, or head to your local garden center. They'll have everything you need.
They're always so helpful there.
They are.
Well, and so are you. So, Jane, thank you so much, because I know that I love gardening in the summer, but it's great to get all this information about how it's not only something I enjoy, but hey, it's good for me too.
Yes.
99.3 The Vine.